Hello everyone, how are you today? You'll notice this isn't my normal intro, because usually I say I'm Isaiah, or I might be Isaiah, or maybe I'm Isaiah, but I'm not 100% sure I'm Isaiah. I haven't been for a while. Today's video is coming about because I feel like I have a very complicated relationship with gender and my name, and it has been undergoing some accelerated changes over the past month or so, since I started this YouTube channel, really. And I kind of want to talk about it. Admittedly, I've talked a bit before about how I started transitioning, how I came to realize that I was trans, that sort of deal. But when I made that video, I was also extremely still upset about the idea that I may be a man. And to be fair, I have undergone a radical change of mind over the past month or so. And it's just interesting because y'all are being dragged along for the journey. Because fuck whatever I originally planned this YouTube channel to be, huh? And it's just become a series of vlogs about my thoughts of the day. But no, I feel like this is important to talk about. So, if you've not heard that video, because I've gotten a lot of followers since then, the long story short, I realized I was trans after I wrote some fan fiction about Carlos from Welcome to Night Vale being trans. I was super into it in 2013 when it was really kicking off, and I fell out of the fandom when Carlos got kicked out of Night Vale because I had gotten too close to that character. And the moment that he got kicked out of a place that he considered home, I got upset. And, well, since then, I've kind of fought against the idea of being a man or being transmasculine. I mean, sure, I wanted to cut off my boobs, but I didn't want a dick. I wanted to be like the Dogma angels, where it was like all smooth down there like a fucking Ken doll. And, I mean, yeah, I wanted to grow a beard, but there were pictures of men with flowers in their beard, so clearly I didn't have to be like a macho man. And maybe I got a little bit of euphoria when I realized that none of my friends could push me over, not even the one that was almost twice my size and weight. Unless I was wearing socks, of course. But that didn't mean I was a man. I didn't prize strength or anything. And maybe I associated earthbending from Avatar The Last Airbender with masculinity. And maybe I associated that with being a dwarf, and I associated being a dwarf with beards and being masculine and traditional and chivalrous. I can't say that word, but you know, like a knight, but a dwarf knight. Someone who's gruff and short but has your back. But that didn't mean I was a man. Because growing up, men were the people that stood in front of the crowd and told them how wrong we were, or they were addicted to porn, or they were supposed to be the ones that would take my virginity and force me to have children. Or they were my youth pastor and they ended up having a relapse and holding his family at gunpoint. Men were disappointing. Men were toxic. Early rad femme, early proto-turfs going all men are evil, removing man from woman, that sort of thing. I saw that all the time. I saw a celebration of femininity or androgyny that lent itself towards femininity. Sure, there were the men with the flowers in their beards who wore skirts, but you could tell they were play acting. No one celebrated men that were masculine, that liked to hunt and eat their kill, that liked to take care of the family. So I told myself I'm non-binary. And when that never felt right, I said, well, it's a political ideation because ultimately I believe that gender won't exist. The end goal of feminism is gender eradication, gender abolition, if you will. And I thought this before TERFs took gender abolition and turned it into something that it's not. And so I stuck with that. And I bred resentment to my mom because she forced me not to transition until I turned 26 and got off her health insurance because I could finally afford my own. And because in the US, when you're 26, you're kicked off your parents' health insurance regardless. And I tried to transition. I stuck with the non-binary. I told myself I'm a he them, not realizing that people who use two different pronouns tend to want to be called either of those pronouns, or that there was even such a thing as people who wanted to be called multiple pronouns in a single conversation. And I was one of those people that said trans women have it worse. Even though in my heart I was upset when I would watch Sabrina and the trans mask character ended up becoming androgynous and more non-binary. Or when I realized that there were no trans men for me to look up to. When I had to headcanon that Bo from She-Ra was trans, and then I would see a backlash against that because cis men can't fulfill femininity according to the people that were backlashing. They were saying we were taking that away from cis men. And I would riot against men trying to discuss men issues because I felt like we didn't deserve a voice, because that's what I was taught. That's what I grew up to believe. And I wondered if there are any positive masculine role models. And all the while, I've been feeling like a failure because I'm not living up to taking care of Briar and my family because I don't function in traditional capitalism. I am bipolar and I'm struggling with mental illness and I'm struggling with burnout from when I was a child to today. And I'm struggling with just being so fucking tired and never getting to do things that are enjoyable to me. And this YouTube channel is enjoyable. I get excited when I see that people have watched or commented. And I'm really excited that I'm almost to 50 followers, subscribers, whatever. Like and subscribe, by the way. YouTube shit. But when I started making my post about is there any such thing as positive masculinity, I was in a dark place. And then something snapped. And I've discussed it. I've talked about it. About how something clicked and I realized that trans women don't have it worse. We both have separate issues. They're both equally bad. And in some ways, I think trans men have it bad because I went from being told that I'm supposed to be subservient to being told that I need to sit down and shut up because I'm a man. And men have privilege. I've never tasted that privilege they're talking about. I don't think me not working traditional job and trying to write erotica or occasionally groom a dog of a family that I adore, or trying to get into substitute teaching so that I can make a little bit of money but not enough to be kicked off Medicare or anything, just enough to help my family. I don't think any of that counts as privilege because I've exchanged trying to work and being anxious and paranoid and tired and worried that my hands are going to give out and I won't be able to make art anymore, for being anxious and tired and depressed and feeling unworthy, in addition to still dealing with my physical issues and my mental issues. In some ways, they're exasperated because I'm not doing anything, because now I just have time to think. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about my gender. And how much I've deluded myself into wondering if I had privilege at all. And I do. I'm white. I'm mostly able-bodied. I was told today that I come across as just a very sweet person, IRL. I have friends. I'm able to take care of my animals well enough. And I have a house. I live in America. As shitty as it is, I live in a state where I'm allowed to identify as my gender. Hell, I put transgender on a form just today for the substitute teaching shit. So I have privilege. But it's not because I'm a man. And trans men face so many issues. Our statistics are largely understudied because no one labels us as men when we commit suicide or we have medical issues that result in sterilization, death, major medical issues that follow us for the rest of our lives. We don't know what happens as well to trans men in prison as we do trans women. We're overlooked in the sports discussion. Trans men don't have any visibility, and we don't have enough research to say what's going on because we're seen as women. At least until we perfectly pass and we change our gender markers, and then we can't get medical help for ovaries or our vaginas if we have them or any of that stuff, because then we're not women anymore, we're men, even though we have these parts that still need to be taken care of. And I'm sitting here realizing how angry and tired I am because I've spent so long hating myself. I've hated my body. I've hated my brain. I've hated how worthless I am, or how I feel like I am. I've hated the up and down of being bipolar and not even realizing what it was until like 2 years ago, and only getting medicated for it now. I'm really tired of hating myself. And I'm tired of feeling like I have to question my gender identity every single day. I don't want to question it anymore. And that all came back to my name, Isaiah. Why did I pick that name? I picked it when I was 19. Well, 1920. I'm 28 now. Isaiah wasn't my first name either. It was Isaac. But that lasted for all of 2 days before I switched to Isaiah, because it sounded a lot like my dead name, Alyssa. And it was from the Bible. It was one of the books. And I was still clinging to this idea of Christianity and the idea that my mom would approve if I went by a name that sounded like Alyssa, that started with the same letter, that was from the Bible, that was Christian. Maybe she wouldn't hate me. Well, that didn't prove true, as evidenced by the years of waiting and being frustrated and upset. And a couple years ago, while I was cut off from my mom, I was reintroduced to my love of Greek mythology. Now, I've always loved Greek mythology since I was 12. It's one of those things that have kind of clued me into my writing and reading addiction. There's this book called Mythology. It had mostly Greek, a little bit of Roman, and a pinch of Norse. And when I met Sam, I was really excited because Sam Rule plays a character from Norse mythology, and I got to learn more about Norse. Sam was irritated a little bit about Greek mythology at the time, said it was like overblown, overdone, overused. So I didn't talk about it very much, and it kind of fell to the wayside. Until I found a song called Icarus. And I found an old print that I made where it was based off of this thing my mom used to hang up. I don't know what it's called. But it had the sun and the moon, and they were both faces, and they were together. And I always really related to that. And it's this kitschy, boho sort of thing. I don't think she even has it anymore. I may have gotten lost during the divorce. A lot of things did. But I think about it a lot. And I took that print, and I'll put a picture up, just so you guys know what I'm talking about. I have it for sale on my Etsy, actually. So I'll put up that picture up. And I carved out a person reaching towards that sun. And his wings are outspread. And it's Icarus. So I have that song that's in my printmaking playlist. Songs that make me want to make art. There's like 6. It's very hard to get on that playlist. It's very exclusive. And I found that print again. And I remembered how much I love, because I do love Greek mythology. I want to get a tattoo about Apollo. Because Apollo, Helios, Icarus, they're all about the sun. And Apollo's a himbo. A jack of all trades, master of none. He's done a little bit of everything. And yeah, he's had some bad stories. What Greek mythological character hasn't had bad stories? But I thought about it a lot. And I was like, Briar, what if I don't want to go by Isaiah? What if I want to go by Icarus? I've always loved the name. I've loved the story. I never saw it as a tragedy, really, because he got to die doing something he loved. He reached for the sun, and he made it, and he died, but he made it. He did what he wanted. I started going by Icarus on the Ace server, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to go by it here yet, because Icarus, it sounds like a YA title name. Like you would open a book and the main character would be Icarus and it's from a cyberpunk future. But I think I've decided that I don't care. Because Isaiah cared a lot about what other people think. He cared a lot about being seen as a good feminist and a good person, and he fucked up so many times. He was desperate and upset and wanted nothing more than to make friends and be empathetic and know what to do and be the right sort of person, be the right sort of advocate. Icarus doesn't care as much. He knows his limits. He knows what he's passionate about. He doesn't really fit into society the way that we're supposed to. Icarus doesn't fit in the mold. And if I only have the one life, I want to be someone that chases after what I want. Be it writing erotica, being a teacher, making art, transforming a house into a home for Briar and I. Having a Sphinx cat and a 300-gallon tank full of discus and Charlie, the giant-ass Pleco. So, I didn't start this video out like I usually do, where I say I might be Isaiah, because I don't think I'm Isaiah anymore. I think I want to go by Icarus, but you can call me Russ. And I hope you guys have a good day, and a good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Because it's evening for me. And y'all stay hydrated. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye.